I want to show you something real quick. So I kind of alluded to this in the last episode, but well, here's my bookshelf. But today we're going to talk about the Animorphs series, and look at all these books that I have. They're even going underneath the bookshelf up there, like the ledge. I have every single book released in the series. Hi, Little Raven. Hi. Move aside so we can see more Animorphs books, the Chronicles books. They're like basically, they're novels, they're science fiction novels. And behind there I've got the Everworld series, which, well, they're also by K.A. Applegate, which, but those are good too, but we're going to stick to Animorphs. Specifically this one. So yeah, I was obsessed with this series when I was a kid. It was basically the series that got me into reading. It is a young adult, I guess, well, not young adult, like a kids. It's basically young adult though. Like adolescent level science fiction series. But anyway, this is the Animorphs graphic novel. It came out this year on my birthday. It was a good birthday present that I bought for myself. But since I worked at Barnes & Noble, I got a discount. Yay! Well, as you can see over there, the whole series is like 54 books long. Each one has a unique cover of one of the kids morphing into an animal. Because that's the plot. I mean, the plot of Animorphs is there's an alien invasion on Earth. Nobody knows about it because it's being conducted by these little alien slugs called Yeerks that crawl into people's ears, take over their brain, and then like mind control people and start trying to take over the world, basically. Reporting back to like their home base in outer space. There's good aliens out there who are trying to stop this, mainly the ones that are called the Andalites, who have the morphing power that's used in these books. One night, 5 kids, just regular kids, you know, they're chill, they're hanging out, they're like 12 years old or something. They're like they're coming home from the mall, they're like cutting through an abandoned construction site, and they just so happen to, like, right at the exact moment, they cross paths with one Andalite who has crash landed on Earth, is like on the verge of death, is being pursued by the Yeerks, and he warns them, oh, you know, by the way, nobody knows this, but your planet is being taken over by evil creatures called Yeerks. They're mind controlling everyone. You need some way to stop them. So here's this blue cube. It's in my ship. Go get it. The main character, Jake, goes in and gets it, and then he brings it out to his friends, and the Andalite, whose name is Elfangor, tells them, okay, touch it, and now you have the power to morph into any creature that you touch. You have to touch the creature, you have to go up to the animal, absorb its DNA, and then focus on it, and then you can become that animal. And so it's basically like being an animagus, or like from Harry Potter, or like just, you know, like fantasy literature in general, or fairy tales. You know, having the ability to transform into an animal. So basically, it's magic. This is a science fiction series that focuses mainly on outer space, nature, you know, all that kind of stuff. As I said, animal behavior and biology. But it's magic. It's basically like a magical system that allows them to turn into animals, because nothing like that would be possible in real science. Let's face it. I mean, who knows? But not at the point we're at now, anyway. Okay. So, I mean, not that we've ever met aliens like these from outer space, especially ones that look like giant blue centaurs. We haven't met them. Again, sort of like a fantasy, which I like because I love fantasy, obviously. But anyway, these 5 kids, they gain the ability to morph. It's morphin' time. I don't know. This is kind of around the same time as Power Rangers. It was, yeah, like there was some overlap there, and so that language, the term morph, appealed to people like me who were into Power Rangers first. And then, yeah, like each one is basically a different episode of the series that focuses on a different character, one of the 5 kids. And it went on for a long time. It gained huge popularity, a TV adaptation on Nickelodeon that wasn't the best thing in the world. It hasn't aged well, let's just put it that way. Well, special effects haven't, let's just say that. Anyway, the book that I'm actually talking about today is the graphic novel adaptation of it, which just came out this year. It's going to be a long time before I don't know if the goal is to release a graphic novel for like literally every single book, in which case it will take years, and I don't think that's a realistic goal. And that's not necessarily what I'm waiting around for, you know. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I'm just glad that this installment exists, because it really adds some artistic imagination and visuals to the, well, vivid visuals that are like described in this book. But anyway, the first book is mainly about that, the 5 kids meeting Elfangor, getting the ability to morph, and then having to find some way to start fighting back against the Yeerks, who are led by a Yeerk that is inside the mind of an Andalite, and his name is Visser 3. Visser is like a rank. It's like the highest ranking Yeerk. And then we have Marco, who is right there. He's always cracking jokes, like we should get shirts printed up, haha. And he's the wisecracking, you know, jokester of the group. But he also has like a troubled backstory. Like he lost his mother so many years before this book, or before this story begins, and he lives at home with his father, who is kind of distant. So Marco kind of makes up for that with like his energy and covering things up with jokes and things like that. And he's also Jake's best friend, so that's how he gets involved with this. They all have connections. Like I said, Jake and Rachel are cousins. Jake and Marco are best friends. Tobias, they just kind of pick up along the way. Cassie is Rachel's best friend. They all just kind of come together due to like these connections that they have, and end up together in this fight against. Here's some of the visuals. Here's them with the like touching the blue box, getting their powers. I don't want to like spoil anything. As usual, these are spoiler-free reviews, but I do want to show off some of the, you know, some of the aliens in the scenes. Here's a Hork-Bajir, which is another species of alien. A Taxon, which is another species of alien. There's a lot of like creative aliens and creatures and things in this book. Sort of in the same vein as Star Wars. I think Animorphs did for, well, at least like children's literature put out by Scholastic, what Star Wars did for films. It's so imaginative. There was nothing. It was kind of unprecedented at the time, and still is. Like there's nothing quite like Animorphs out there. There's Visser 3. See, he's an Andalite. He's not really an Andalite, but he's possessing an Andalite, and he looks very evil. But yeah, so the kids themselves are it's a very character-driven series, you know. The way Chris Grine draws the characters, he does make them look like awkward, you know, gangly kids. He kind of gives everyone like this weird like red nose that makes it look like they have a cold. I mean, I don't want to say it. I don't want to like diss his art style, but that's kind of the way kids look, right? Is like, you know, like awkward and not fully like grown into their bodies or whatever. And the whole thing about being Animorphs is they're learning how to control animal bodies as well as their own developing bodies or whatever. I don't know. That's a weird thing to say. But it doesn't go too much into that. But it is kind of a coming-of-age story for all 5 of them. So who are these characters? Well, we have... I want to find a picture for each character. Well, as I said, the main character of the first book is Jake, who becomes like the leader of them because he's the most assertive. He's like the basketball jock, not football. But that's Jake. And so the first book is told from his point of view. I'll go in narrative order of how the characters are like presented each in turn as their main characters. Then we have... I'm trying to find a scene where she's featured. Rachel, who is his cousin, and she's sort of like the popular girl at school. She's sort of like the... no, where is she? Yeah, there she is. So she's sort of like the popular, like the girly girl, I guess, who likes to go shopping and all that stuff. But she's also got a fierce side. She's also like quite assertive, like her cousin Jake, and she actually has quite a temper and is ready for a fight when the opportunity arises. Then we have Tobias, who is actually my favorite character, but he's kind of like the introverted, awkward kid who gets bullied at school, and he's kind of like a foster kid, I think, or he lives with his aunt and uncle. He's kind of like unloved by his family, and he doesn't have a lot of close friends, and he's kind of just a loner. But he's also kind of an escapist, and so he becomes really into morphing before anybody else does. He becomes very attached to the hawk morph, which becomes his like go-to morph. So, and he ends up staying as a bird a lot because he likes to fly, and flying is like liberating for him. And he almost becomes more comfortable with being a bird than he is with being a human, because it's a better life for him. Then we have Cassie, who is also, is that her? Yes. She is sort of like the empath of the group. She's also like a really she doesn't like, I don't want to stop morphing. She loves being close to animals. Her and her family live on a farm, and she actually becomes really good at morphing before anybody else. And then we have Marco, who is right there. He's always cracking jokes, like we should get shirts printed up, haha. And he's the wisecracking, jokester of the group. But he also has like a troubled backstory. Like he lost his mother so many years before this book, or before this story begins, and he lives at home with his father, who is kind of distant. So Marco kind of makes up for that with like his energy and covering things up with jokes and things like that. And he's also Jake's best friend, so that's how he gets involved with this. They all have connections. Like I said, Jake and Rachel are cousins. Jake and Marco are best friends. Tobias, they just kind of pick up along the way. Cassie is Rachel's best friend. They all just kind of come together due to like these connections that they have, and end up together in this fight against the Yeerks. As you can see, there's also morph sequences where you see them like halfway between human and animal. That was prominently featured on the covers of those books. Let me give you an example. To compare with the cover of the original Invasion first book, here we have Jake turning into a lizard, and it was kind of really bad like graphics, that like computer generated morph graphics to start off with. They got better as the series went on, and then you would open it up and you would see the animal in the inside flap. And not only that, but I'm going to show this off, you would see a little page flipping morph in the bottom corner, and the character would morph as the book went on. Oh, let me try that again. And this was kind of a gimmick that made the books fun to buy and collect in a whole different way. Not too many books had page flipping morphs like that. But anyway, so yeah, Animorphs. I still love the series. I still highly recommend it. I really feel it is a character-driven series. The most important parts are like how this basically this Cold War on Earth between these aliens that these kids get involved in, and they become like they're the only hope for humanity. How it affects them as they are growing up, and how it affects their families, and what they find out. Things on Earth are often not as they seem, and that's part of the mystery that unfolds throughout the series. It is also about the animals that live on our planet. As much as you learn about this fictional, like these fictional aliens that are being made up in this series, you also learn about, how animals behave, and like, like how a dog might see in the dark, or how dogs smell, or, these kids have to get up and close with animals so often. Here he is like absorbing the DNA of a tiger. They go to the zoo and do that and get these like battle morphs that allow them to have like maximum power in situations that call for that. And there's so many different creative situations where that call for like the talents of different animals. Like eventually they'll even morph into like bugs and birds and things to get small and do reconnaissance or see things from a bird's eye view. So it's really cool, and like I said, there's so many books full of stories about this universe that K.A. Applegate and Michael Grant have written over the years. And that was a while ago, and I'm so glad that Chris Grine is adapting these now for a new era. And yeah, go check them out if you haven't. I think they're reissuing some of the earlier ones at local bookstores, so you can start. The series should be accessible to start anew these days. But yeah, definitely go check it out. It is one of my all-time favorite book series. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. It just came to mind after I kind of glanced over my bookshelf in my last video. But yeah, Animorphs is awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the graphic novel series goes next. Oh, P.S. I don't remember if anybody ever morphs a raven, but it would definitely be my battle morph. I'd probably be like Tobias and want to be a raven all the time.